I was just a prop in a situation because they really just take you. You literally just being moved. I almost fainted. I literally did because I really wanted to saying, is she okay? Because this is a simple thing. Get with the program. Hey mamas, welcome to the Whole Mama Show. I'm your host, Aisha O'Reilly, and we're revealing the untold stories of motherhood. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe to my channel. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, please remember to leave a review if you listen to the previous episodes. One-liner review is perfect. A rating out of 5, it will do wonders for my podcast to reach more women. Today's episode is such an important one and so topical because some people's accounts of their experience in the hospitals or in the clinics where they had their babies. And unfortunately, it's something that is all too common. The mishandling of mothers in hospitals, in birth clinics. And it seems to be something that has been normalized across different cultures, across generations. And this episode really speaks to that.
You're not the only mama who had a traumatic birth.
My guest today is a good friend of mine, and she is an entrepreneur, digital content creator, social media powerhouse, wife and mom to Fez, and a lot of you know her already. Her name is Yolenda Jawe, and she is sharing her experience of being a mother. Here's her story. Hi. Hello.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. When was the last time we did a video together?
I actually don't remember, Aisha. I don't remember.
It's been a long time.
It's been years.
It's been a long time. Yols and I, we've been friends for a while.
Since 2015. So
well, actually,
oh my goodness.
It's 2015.
I met you in 2015, yeah.
Yeah, it was before I went here and before you moved here. Yeah.
Hectic.
Yeah. It's been a few years. So she is finally back on my channel. So excited for her to be on the Whole Mama couch.
Yes.
Coming.
Thanks for having me. It's a comfy couch.
Yeah. It's comfy.
Very relaxed conversation and no judgment. Very non-judgmental. I can say it right. So I can feel that.
So in case people don't know who you are, please can you introduce yourself and let me know who calls you mama?
Oh, my name is Yolenda Jawe, popularly known as Y'all's Channel.
You have to sing it.
It's Y'all's Channel. I am a mom, a wife first actually, then a mom, and I am a YouTuber, and I call myself a digital marketing specialist because that's really where my passion is, and just breaking the boundaries around everything, which is part of why I am here. I am a mom to Fez. And I'm hoping I'll add to this conversation to break the boundaries on the silence that exists on motherhood and adding to the pot of wholeness when it comes to mamas.
Yes, you will be. You already have, but you will be in this episode. I'm sure of it. So take us back. How did you become a mom to Fez?
Oh my goodness. Without the emotion,
Ocean's good. You know, Ocean's good.
I actually was in your home country when I figured out this. I might just be pregnant. We were just crazy newlyweds. I don't know.
Okay.
This was about 5-6 months post-marriage. After marriage, wedding day. Apparently, I had no color on my face. My colleagues were just like, you look like The Walking Dead.
Wow.
Okay. And I thought, because I'm waiting for my period, what's happening? Felt weak and I was flying. My husband sent me all these Google searches on like traveling a lot, country hopping. A few weeks before that, I was in Nigeria. And now I'm leaving Kenya and I'm going to another country, Tanzania. And he's like, that's why your cycle is off. Now something's really wrong. Yeah. And it was diarrhea full force.
Shit.
So we had to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
That very morning. It was so funny because she's just like, you sure you're not pregnant? I'm like, nah. Also, my confidence in audacity.
Yeah.
Probably just like, yeah, she's confident.
Yeah.
And it literally took a few seconds. She checked it and she laughed. And I was like, hey, but what's going on now?
Yeah.
She says, congratulations, you are pregnant.
In terms of your support, like what did that look like for you? You mentioned your mom in love. I call them mom in love.
I love that. We too are totally in love.
you know, but how about friends or any other family members around you? How did you sort of like find support in them?
So my mom was in Cape Town. She was in between like a lot of career change.
Yeah.
At first, I literally was like, especially after giving birth, I was just like, where are you? Where's my mom?
Yeah.
You know, and I had to separate whatever she was going through at the time and however she experienced my birth story or my brother, my sister, and what I was getting from my mom-in-law, because getting home, my mom-in-law had already put like the whole wall, decorated the wall with welcome baby. My hubby's best friend was also home and they had balloons, they had gifts. I don't know, I felt loved. But there was that little inkling of like, oh, I wish my mom was here. So she did come a few days later. But I certainly was just like, I wish I got home to you, you know, especially because I had a bit of a traumatic birth, I think. And definitely felt like they were like, you guys need to learn, but we are here to guide you. Should you fall, know that it's okay. We are here.
Yeah.
And I think in a way it was just like how I was raised largely. There was a lot of trust on us. And I don't know if that's always a good thing, especially when it comes to the tenderness after birth.
Yeah, you're very vulnerable.
Extremely. You are like, no boil.
Yeah.
And how it needs to be treated by a doctor. That's how you are after.
I love that word tenderness because it's a sort of like feeling or place in your life that you don't really know until you actually have a child. At least I found that with me.
I've never been to that place.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable. And there is this thing, like as you were talking about, like your mom and stuff, there's this, I don't know, for me, I always really felt like I needed my mom.
Yeah.
Throughout my pregnancies and then after birth, like I just wanted to be with my mom.
That's it. That's all you want.
Yeah.
It's such a internal, maternal need, a biological one that we cannot help have because we're born with it. I don't know what it is. Just like a child needs their mom at birth, so do we go back to that place where we just, that's the only thing we need right now.
Just mom. Yeah. No, that's so true. So, Fez's birth. You mentioned earlier that it was a bit of a traumatic time for you. Can you take us through that?
Oh, girl. Without crying, I've spoken about my birth story so comfortably, but now as I get older and realize, I'm like, oh my goodness, I still got that to deal with. So it started off at 4 a.m. waking hubby up and going, I think these are contractions that I'm feeling. And at the time, he was just like, okay, but how far apart are they? Should we be pack it up? Should we leave now?
Yeah.
We did not leave. So we timed them. I think they were like, I don't even remember the details, 20 minutes or 15 minutes apart. But I just know the gap was wide enough for us to stay at home for a few hours.
And your pregnancy, just very quickly, your pregnancy, how was it?
Oh, Reyes did not want to come out. He was a very good baby. He didn't have nausea. Didn't see my husband around. I feel like that was very easy.
Yeah.
And I was very blessed.
Yeah.
I just had the worst kicks. He's as active as he is now. The rib kicks. And then I had a sciatica nerves issue. My left side, which I still have, like a hectic sciatica nerve pain.
Yeah.
It's like a pinched nerve. I don't know if you have it.
Yeah.
And I still have it here and there if I'm on my feet like for too long. But I had that, but it really wasn't that bad. It was near the end where, 39 weeks hit and we were like, okay. Hello.
Yeah.
40 weeks, 41.
Really?
Yeah, he was due in July. He came in August.
Wow.
First day of August when I was due for a scheduled, is it induction?
Yeah. Induction.
Yeah. It didn't cross my mind that a C-section would be an option at all. So I really just went in hoping that this one would come. So the morning of when we were supposed to be, I think, in hospital the night.
Yeah.
To be induced. When I started getting my contractions, I was just like, oh, thank you, Lord. He's definitely coming. He's coming in the natural way. Awesome. About 12 hours, around 4 p.m. that day, I was only about 4 centimeters dilated or 6 centimeters, but definitely, the nurses talk. This is not enough. This is not going to get us anywhere. I think I went into hospital around 1 or
2. And at the time, my mom and my best friend were on the phone. So that was really helpful. It felt like they were there in the room with me.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, the contraction gets so bad, you don't even want to hold your phone. So they were on the phone with Razi most of the time. Around 4, when I was about 6 centimeters dilated, I was given something to sort of clear my bowels. And then they asked me to sign this form. And this form is like a C-section consent form. And I was like, why would I do this? And the nurse, I don't know if she talked me into it, but she was just like, for your safety, if you are not able to say yes, this is your consent, this is your yes now.
So this was a consent form in case they needed to perform an emergency cesarean. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't understand it fully because I was like, what are you saying? She's like, it's for a C-section. You're not here for a C-section birth. You're in the rooms where, you know how they divide like our wards?
Yes.
So this room is for natural birth. Don't worry about that. But this form is just in case. It was almost like rushed, and I literally remember saying to her, just repeat everything. I'm not hearing you clearly. Why am I signing this? And I signed it anyway. It's only later when I realized what I signed. 3 hours later, I think I was about 8 centimeters dilated, and everyone was happy. They took me to the delivery room. I sat on the bed. I'm ready to give birth, and they decided to break my waters manually.
Okay.
And they see meconium, and they're like, oh, baby's pooped. And all of a sudden, it's picking up the phone, calling the doctor, and there's just a sudden rush. What is going on?
Was the doctor there?
No. So she was going to come around 8 because obviously the nurses are breaking my waters now. They just told her, okay, cool, we'll break her waters. And then all of a sudden, I was going back to the phone and telling her that there's meconium in the water. But my monitor's fine. I can see my child breathing just fine.
Yeah.
No one is saying anything about him being in distress. Not one person said the baby's in distress, but there was the baby can be in distress now. What if he swallows the meconium? We won't know until, in a few minutes. And I'm like, can we wait? And it was just, I just remember the sense of urgency that was placed on me. And all of a sudden, I'm being transported, literally lifted off my bed onto those wheel beds and into a lift and into the ICU. And I'm like, what am I doing here? There's an anesthesiologist. Yeah.
Or anesthesiologist.
And I remember him just sitting there and waiting for me to be rolled in. And it just felt like this room has now been prepared. People are waiting for me. And I think that was just the confusion of now what is going on. My doctor's not there. There's another doctor who is introducing himself. Lift her up and I'm being injected. Within 15 minutes.
It's very quick.
7. I was there.
Yeah.
And I remember Razi just holding my hand and praying and just like looking at me in the eyes saying, it's going to be okay. I just remember now looking back, I'm like, that was just so much that I don't know if I blanked or if I blacked out. I know I was definitely there. And I just remember the heaviness on my body. Just like I remember the sound of the table and my back against the table. And then just trying to hear if my baby's here now and is he crying and like what's happening. And all of a sudden I'm given my baby quickly and then they take him again and they need to just check him. And apparently, so my husband saw they put like pipes and they drew out some meconium and he cried and I was back in the room again by 8, I think. I was texting. It just happened so fast. In 45 minutes, I was in the delivery room, out of the delivery room, into ICU, gave birth, stitched up, back into my room.
Yeah.
And I just look back and I'm like, what happened? Well, knowing now what I know, it makes sense that I shamed myself, one, initially, because I was like, why wasn't I prepared for C-section?
Yeah.
And did I prepare enough for natural birth? Was I supposed to be walking while I was, in bed, waiting to give birth, waiting to dilate more? During the day, I remember having the ball and like obviously just like sitting on that ball, doing all the little exercises like pelvic what's. And I just remember asking myself, did I do enough? Did you do enough for natural birth? One. Number 2, did I do enough research for a cesarean in case I have a C-section? And both answers were no, but then came the pain of dealing with that no. And that took time. I had to still feel as though I still bear the scars, the emotional and the mental scars of that process and dealing with that, because healing from it was one thing, physically healing, great. But moving on from that took me a while. It was just a painful topic to talk about. Anyone asks about it, it's just C-section, let's move on. And now I realized that was real pain. And I remember even like shopping. There was only one time after months post-birth, I remember saying to my husband, I feel like I can go to the shops now, but I don't know her. I don't know whose body I'm in.
Yeah.
And I just, like, dressing her feels so weird because it feels like an out-of-body experience. Like, who is she? And what happened to the girl before the surgery or operation table? So that's why I call it traumatic, because I feel like I'm still building the pieces together and still very much dealing with it. But the first 5, 6, possibly 6 to 8 months, I really was stuck in that place of like going back and forth. What could I have done differently? What didn't I do? What did I do? And having to still love this child and it's not his fault. And look at him, look at me with so much love, so much innocence, so much eyes of like curiosity of what the world will be. And I'm responsible, but I'm still there. I'm still on that bed, asking myself what happened and how did I get here?
Did you feel like you were a failure? Did you feel like you failed at birth?
I felt like I failed at researching. Yeah. So I shamed myself more so for, I don't want to use the word stupid, but I felt like you could have guided yourself to this table. What are you doing here? You don't know what you're doing here. And reconciling the past with the new me and the me that was, it felt like a transitionary stage. Like the person that was laying on that table didn't know what she was doing, and she needed to connect the past with the present because all of a sudden things are moving so fast. You're given this child now, nurse.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now? I remember even asking one nurse said, that's a stupid question. She gave me, they give you the pads.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I looked at those things and I was like, how do I use it? She told me like, aren't you a woman? Like, what kind of question is that? And I was like, I've never used. And I remember crying because I'm like, what is going on? Like, is this such a, you work here. At the very least, show me how to use this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was so tender.
Yeah.
That everything is sensitive. Yeah. I'm sensitive in all my parts. And that's why I speak about a boil, because anywhere you touch, it's painful. You don't know how painful it is and how much pressure anyone's putting, because it's a boil. At any given point, it could burst and you just don't know. So those 8 months were painful mentally, and I needed to just get back to who I really was. Thankfully, I had my content. So going back to like what I knew and trying to go back to her, and then integrating Fez into our lives now and being a mom helped a lot. It felt like I'm talking to two different people and I'm saying sit in one room and get to know each other again. So that's taken time. And like I say, the fact that I'm still emotional talking about it means I'm still healing from that. And it's again something people don't talk about. It feels like birth should be a one-time thing and a one-time memory and it's over. And because the world speaks about like, you feel the pain, but you won't remember it.
Yeah.
You do remember it. It's the scars that you bear that are not physical that you still have to deal with. The wounds that still need salt and crying, and a lot of like therapy.
Yeah.
If there was post-birth therapy, I think I would have taken it.
I was going to ask, when you're saying that, it required a lot of healing, like those few months afterwards, did you seek any professional
No,
or anything?
I just seeked, honestly, help on the internet.
Yeah.
So I'm reading, going on to different forums and seeing how other mothers dealt with it, watching a lot of YouTube videos post-birth, seeing women actually cry and not like this process and not like who they are, because it's so hard, especially in our space, to say I don't like who I am when I'm representing the whole thing of representation. It's like you meant to make this look good. You are a role model. Model. But you can't model pain.
Yeah.
And it's sad because it is my reality in that moment in time and I can't talk about it in that time because I don't even know what it is. Can I fumble? Can I stumble over my own words because I don't know what I'm doing right now? And we found ourselves, I suppose, also 2018 in the space where motherhood was very much like, I remember the pram picture. That would get the most likes after 6 weeks of giving birth. And that's the like painful part of it, because nobody knows you can barely walk. I literally remember taking it here in Ilovo, that same photo, 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
And having to go back into the car and just be like, oh,
Something little about.
That was probably more important for the mothers who've given birth around the same time as me than that picture was. But it got more likes, it got more engagement.
That's social media, unfortunately. It's definitely moved on.
Yes, thank goodness. I remember it's so but so crazy.
A few years ago, it was like slim pickings,
Snapback was that's the comment you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think it helped also having sources of like help, because sometimes we don't have access to their. Actually, didn't even know there was postpartum therapy. Thankfully, I also convinced myself. I don't know if I was that. I convinced myself that I wasn't depressed. But now looking back, maybe I was.
Do you think it was? I'm listening to you and I'm wondering. Do you think the aftermath of it was specifically attributed to the fact that you didn't have the birth experience that you thought you were going to? Or was it not just, and I put just in like air quotes because it's not just, but was it that, or do you think it was you becoming a mom? Like whether you would have felt that way, whether you had a natural birth or a C-section, it wouldn't have mattered.
I honestly think it was lack of preparation and the way in which our caregivers handled everything. Because that's so important. Like, those people, again, that tenderness, the sense of urgency, the rush, the picking up the phone, the panic, that sent me off. And that's why I think I might have actually blacked out at some point. Whether I was conscious of that or not, I don't know, because suddenly it went from calm, you're on the delivery table, take time and breathe, to we're going to do this now. And that rushing that moment in time set me off completely. My focus was meeting this beautiful boy that I've never met in myself, the best blind date of my life, whether painful or not, and breathing through it. And I wasn't breathing. I don't think I breathed throughout that time, like as in consciously. So I was just on autopilot, and I think that's the problem. Our caregivers play such a huge role, and they don't realize it. I didn't feel taken care of. And even after, like I say, just asking that question and feeling like this is not a safe space for you to ask such things. This is a simple thing. Get with the program. We need to move on. I'm here to work. And I'm not there to work. I'm here to meet this baby that I've been carrying for over 9 months. And I'm tender right now. I just want you to take care of me. So I think it's a bit of both. Birth, whatever the outcome was, I do still think I should have read more on C-section. But I had such great help. I've never seen my husband take up that role with so much grace. Every single morning before work, he would make sure that he wakes me up. We had those blood clot injections. Every single morning he would do that. He would actually clean my wound, nurse it, ointment. I didn't do any of that for at least the first 2 weeks until I think the thing that he applied, like until it ran out, that ointment. I hate needles, but he took such good, better than the nurses, to be quite honest. And he'd take Fairs for a few hours. Then I knew what it felt like to be taken care of, and I longed for that before.
I felt that when you said that you just wanted to be taken care of. Because, like, as much as we call it like vulnerability and tenderness, that really is what it is, and it's something that I've been trying to talk about, on my platforms, especially on my Instagram, because this last time was a mess, as I've spoken to you about. And it's exactly that like lack of empathy that is very clear, unfortunately, in a lot of our healthcare workers, professionals, when what they are supposed to do, like I said, I'm here to do my job. Your job is to take care of me when I'm at my most vulnerable. And then when you speak to somebody the way that nurse spoke to you, or, they're just not that attentive. It's like boom, 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 in and out. And, like as if it's no big deal. Like you're becoming a mom. That's huge. So I felt that when you said that. And I think a lot of other women would as well.
It's painful.
It is. And unfortunately, it's part of the memory of Fez's birth.
Yes, it's marked and by such, I want to say vile, to be quite like super raw, because in that moment you are so fresh, so raw, so vulnerable, and somebody's poking at you. It don't poke. I remember even one nurse sitting me up, and after the C-section, you're not, like, you don't have any control. To you. I almost fainted. I literally did. I think, because I remember one nurse saying, "Is she okay?" I didn't know I had no control. And I remember one nurse lifting my leg and the other one, but I didn't feel anything. So reconciling what my brain was seeing and what was actually happening, I just remember going like that in bed, and they were like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Things like that. Again, it's like, how do you handle both? Is it the healthcare like the nurse that's supposed to say, I'm about to do this and you obviously won't feel it, but don't look or be prepared. Or is it on me to have done the research to know, to expect that? Because I just remember feeling so sick in that moment. I think just blood rushed because why are my legs moving and I can't feel anything? I'm going to answer that according to what I believe. I believe they should prepare us more. The fact that we have been giving birth since the beginning of time, and until now, they still haven't figured certain things out. Either they haven't figured it out or they haven't bothered to educate us and inform us. We can read all of the books, we can read all of the magazines, but where do they actually say, this is what happens in case your baby is in distress or whatever the reasons are, you have to have an emergency cesarean. Nobody talks about that. And post-emergency. And post, what's there? Yes, postpartum. Do you have a doctor coming and checking up on you? Nope. They're there to literally check on baby. Yes, girl. Yes. It's not you. No. Nobody asks you, how are you feeling? Can you feel this? Yeah. Is it painful? Is it keloiding? Is it anything like literally just checking what? And they've got their little board. Yeah. It really feels much like a job, like I'm a burden to you than I am taken care of. Yeah. Yet I'm paying for the service one, and I've just done something super extraordinary. From the beginning of time, this has been it's still the most miraculous thing. It really is. That anyone can do, and we as women are given that. And for other women who've possibly been through it, to be in the same room as you and literally check a box and leave, just takes away from what it truly is. Yeah, so that was my experience. I'm healing now, and I'm at a better place, I won't lie. Yeah. And I'm enjoying being a boy mom. And would I do it again? Yeah. And I think I'd be better for it because now I won't shy away too from sharing and carrying that responsibility with pride. It's a beautiful thing, and if anyone else can have a better C-section or emergency C-section experience than I did, I would be so much happier. Just knowing that. It is important that as women, we try and take more control. We advocate for ourselves. We try and take more control over our health, in all aspects. Because let's be real, it's a man's world in every aspect. Even, unfortunately, like we were saying, like in maternity, which is very exclusive to women, there's something still very patriarchal about how it's handled. So I think it definitely would help other women if they had this, because I don't know if this was the case for you, and you can let me know. I feel like a lot of women, a lot of my followers especially, and some friends, they have this idea in their head that is very like, you are not going to tell me anything. I am pushing my baby. There's almost like a pride in that, even when, for example, when I had my first Caesar, all of my kids are Caesar kids, and for me, it did not faze me. Honestly, you did a blog post about it. I like a blog post, a video and stuff, and the reason why it didn't faze me is because I personally never had that dream of this birth experience. I was like, I just want my baby healthy, and I want to be healthy. So on my side, I think it's something that I have found really difficult to relate to, because I'm like, as long as your baby is good, that's the most important thing. But it is a genuine loss for a lot of women. It is, because a couple of women have explained to me that they've been dreaming about this moment, and I think when I look back on it, ever since we're little girls, once we understand that women are the ones who have babies, we kind of learn that that's our role, that's what we do. So the world kind of builds us up to this, like, your job is to birth. That's like one of the biggest things that you're going to contribute achievement in the world. And it is. Yeah. But, I think for some women, that message isn't really ingrained. But then for others, it really is. Like, did you feel that way at all? Like, when you ended up having the emergency Caesar, I think that's why I asked earlier, did you feel like you were a failure? Because a lot of women had kind of described themselves as such when they had one. No, thankfully not. I think for me, while we were waiting for phase to come, so my gynae was already having the conversation with, look, if this one doesn't come now, baby's growing and baby needs to get out. It was more of the emergency part, because there's the expectation that you can build. I would have loved to give birth naturally because we wanted 5 children initially. Thankfully now we just one more, Lord. Even 2, but definitely not 5. So that sort of went away very quickly.
Yeah.
I didn't idolize the idea of natural birth. It's just when you've been in labor for 15 hours. Could we not have done this in the first hour? And I think that's the reality of it. Well, if it was C-section, could this not have been scheduled then? You know, it's reconciling that thing of like, did I have to go through the pain of natural birth?
Yes.
Not, and then get to a point where you're so close, you're on the delivery bed and not give birth naturally. I think that's the thing about the emergency part and then the rush of it. There is no processing in that moment, and that's where the trauma is. And thankfully, my husband had already said, like, whatever happens, babe, as long as we have a healthy child. In fact, even with the sex of the baby, he didn't care. He played very much Mr. Neutral, even though he says, like, I would have definitely loved a firstborn boy, which was my heart. From the time before I even met him, I was like, I hope it's a boy.
Yeah.
So he always managed my expectations, and he always put it out there. Whatever happens, we will get through this. It's okay. So that really helped at the back of my head. I think that played a huge part in healing me because he emphasized that so that I don't feel at any point that I'm a failure, whatever happens. And at any point where I needed an epidural, he was just like, all for it. Like, do what you need to do as long as our baby comes out safely and I have my wife back healthy. That was the most important thing. So I even stayed an extra day in hospital because I just felt like this, I'm not okay. I was really not okay. I asked the doctor, can I just stay another day? I just need my mind to get back to where I was. I'm not the girl who was here 2 days ago. So I think it was just the emergency part of it that made me feel very like I was just a prop in a situation. Because they really just take you. You literally just being moved. Boom, 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 and then that thing on the table, you're not feeling anything. It just feels like you were a doll in that moment. And obviously the process needs to happen. But it just felt like I was part of someone else's story and I needed to reconcile that girl.
Yeah,
She is me.
you've explained that, like, I get it. I get it.
That's literally how it was.
Yeah. And you know, with all of the like birth stories that we hear, and it happens with so many of us. So many of us where it's just like, you're just a number.
Yeah, that losing control.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not like we're craving control, but certainly this is me. I still have to live with her. After you're done with her, like all of this, if I could call it a term, it's medical abuse. You know, it's like after you're done with her, she actually still needs to go home and take care of this baby and raise this child, but still live with the pain of whatever you did in that moment to get your job done.
Yeah.
That's the part that hurts because they leave and then it's done. It's not done with you. You still have to be a wife. You still have to smile. People are going to come over and look at this baby and you literally, again, you're like, I don't want to feel like a prop. Do I have any control over this narrative? Yeah, it takes a lot, but at least I got to a point where I understood what happened and I could process it. And that was the most important part. And I think my husband played a huge role in just supporting me every single way. He literally, from the time we were preparing for birth, he was like, I'm on diaper duty. And the moment you start pumping, I'm on midnight shift. It's okay. I've got you. So whatever it was going to be, I knew I was in good hands.
That's massive. And I'm also saying that because we live in a country, a society where men are very much like
hands off. Yeah, no, he was
take a step back.
Yeah.
This is womenly things and stuff like that. So for him to have been not just so involved with Fez, but with you and making sure that you're okay, that's huge. Oh, I had no idea. I really didn't. I called you. I don't know if you remember. We spoke just after you had Fez.
What did I say? How did I say? Was that okay?
You sounded out of it, for sure. But I understood that because obviously I had also had a Caesar and I wasn't, so going back, I already knew like, oh, shame, and so we didn't talk for long. But I remember you saying that, that you had a Caesar and like, I can't remember the exact words, obviously, that you'd said, but that you just weren't happy about it. You're like, I didn't want it.
The way in which that happened, yeah.
Yeah, you said something along those lines. And my heart, like, dropped for you because I was like, I hope she doesn't think that she's, like, failed at this.
No, it wasn't that. If one nurse literally said, Yolanda, this is what's going to happen. Your water has got meconium. I had to read between the lines, and there's nothing worse than even children. That's why they get like you don't go somewhere without telling them. Oh, we're gonna go now. Let's take a bath. This is where you pay them mentally. Take me there. You're gonna go to ICU. It was just, and that's why I say a prop, because it literally felt like they lifted me off the bed onto the on wheels, and all of a sudden I'm just whisked away, and I'm on the second floor, and and I get there. People are waiting for me. When was this start?
Yeah.
When you could have taken 1 minute.
Yeah.
90 seconds, if at all.
Yeah.
To just literally, you don't even have to hold my hand or call my husband decided. He was going to deliver it so much better too. They did not take care of us in that moment. And that's why I didn't want it. I felt like I was coerced to sign that. And just because she signed, we can do whatever we want.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hope that there are some healthcare professionals listening to this, watching this, because we need better.
Yeah. The trauma
We need better.
that they cause and inflict is insane.
And it's unnecessary.
That's the worst part. Just take care of us. It's not going to take you an extra 2 seconds out of the day to do one human thing.
Because exactly what you're saying, and this is what I've been saying also to my friends and stuff, and also online, it's like all throughout your pregnancy, people are like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Da, da, da. And as soon as you give birth, first of all, it's like birth ain't no thing. Billions of women do this all the time. It's really no big deal. Then we were supposed to go home with our scars, whether we gave birth naturally or not, whether we had a traumatic birth or not, even if it was smooth sailing or whatever, but majority of the time, something has happened. And then we're supposed to feed the baby, heal, still take care of our other children, all the while on 2 hours of sleep, if that, and. But now you've got this added layer of unnecessary trauma.
Yeah. And even when people come and see you, they're not there to see you.
They're not there to see you.
I came to see the baby.
Yeah. Like, mom's fine.
I hope that changes forward. And we too prepare ourselves. Because I did also prepare myself for that disappointment. I'm like, well, what if I'm not taken care of? Let me just build a little bit of like a defense shield.
You know what? I don't think you can prepare for that.
That's the thing. That's the reality. Who can?
You can.
You can't be going in there all guns blazing. But yeah, that's my story.
Thank you for sharing.
You're always welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm praying that you will be blessed again.
Yay!
Being broody.
I can't look at
dog.
Or cannot look at a liar. I'm like, oh, don't do this to me.
But I think it's just in us.
It is. It is
in our
nature.
Yeah.
It is.
Before we go, what would you say is your whole mama truth?
It's okay for pain and joy to coexist. Before, during, and even after birth. It's okay. It's actually supposed to be, because there's no birth without pain. In that time, live it and go through it. Allow yourself those emotions. You owe it to yourself to heal quicker and get to a point where you are whole again.
Yeah, I love that. The coexistence of it all. Yeah. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Y'all's channel. That's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If there's any other new apps, it's going to be at your channel as well. If you need a little treat, mama, a little self-care date, I do have a self-care brand called Y'all's Beauty. It is South Africa's first Black-owned sheet mask brand. So take the time to mask up and take the self-care. You deserve it, mama.
This was so good. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. It was so
Sharing.
Wow, such a necessary conversation. I'm so glad that y'all was able to join me today on the Whole Mama Couch and share this really important experience that I know so many of you watching and listening to this episode are feeling at the moment or have felt in the past. And maybe you haven't felt heard, or you just needed to listen to this podcast to feel a bit more validated. My opinion is that the healthcare system needs to change. We, as the only human beings on earth who can give birth, we're not taken care of. I have firsthand experience in that. And I'll be sharing my story soon. So in the meantime, please let me know if this episode resonated with you, if you could relate to anything that we discussed today. Did this episode give you any kind of validation or clarity as to why your birth experience didn't go the way that you hoped or expected? I'd love to continue this conversation in the comments as well as on social media. So please go ahead and share this episode with a mama in your life or a mama to be, and the aunties as well. We're all part of the same mama village. Don't forget to tag me at Aisha and Life on all social media platforms. And if you're listening on the podcast, please go ahead and leave a rating out of 5 and a quick one-liner review. They are massive on podcasts and they help me reach more women. You can also find my honest journey in motherhood on my blog, aishaandlife.com, and on my social media platforms at Aisha and Life. That's AISHAANDLIFE. Once again, I'm Aisha O'Reilly, and I hope this episode has left you feeling a little bit more whole, mama.